All right, so my maintenance week is basically continuing where I am fixing a lot of my broken RCs. You know, you always got to stay up to date and make sure your RCs are ready to run when you want to go. Or else you go to have fun and then your RCs are broken and, you know, it kind of misses the moment. So I've been doing a lot of fix-its, and the next one I wanted to do was on my mini monster truck. This is the HPI Savage XS FLUX. Now that stands for extra small, but look at this, a saggy bottom. A little droopy in the rear end, and I gotta tell you, that's never really done it for anybody, especially when you're dealing with RC. So not a big deal, it's a fairly easy fix. And in fact, while preparing for this fix, I had already ordered in some new shocks, and really I have beat this truck down considerably. It looks pretty hurting right now. But really all it is this shock end, the rod end. Here, I'll show you up close. You know, I hammered on this truck and finally it just broke right out of the mount. Now, for those that have seen me launch this vehicle off of the Superman ramp and race it around, so much power for a little brushless. This is a 3S LiPo truck, all electric, and based on the incredibly popular HPI Savage FLUX, which is an electric beast of a machine. I've had quite a few videos of that on RC Adventures. So this one being half the battery power, but for its scale is a ripper. And I thought, well, if I'm upgrading the shock, yeah, I could just go ahead and do the rod end, or I could go ahead and do the whole shock assembly. And I thought I would do the shock assembly instead and just have an aluminum rod end here. So okay, as a side note, before I fix the rod end here, I want to talk about these axles, or what are commonly referred to, what are commonly referred to as dog bones. You can see on it, come on, that it's a beveled end. You see that? That does not work very well in the cup, and it just causes it to snap. But it only takes a few minutes to fix, so if you want to pick up a couple of them like I did, I just went to eBay, it's a piece of cake, and away you go. I have heard there's different upgrades to stop that from happening, so I'll be investigating that in the future, but for the time being, it doesn't really bother me that I have to actually switch them out. Okay, let's get on to the shocks. Just going to remove the tires. Perfect. All right, I know some of you are going to want to know what type of tires I'm running. These are Big Joe 2s from Proline. 2.25 by 4.36. These grippy little tires are excellent on the type of terrain that I have around here. Dirt, rocks, dust, you know, grass, all that kind of stuff. I had a good time. Way better than the stock ones. And the rim and tire combo, I ordered them pre-glued from Proline. So there you go. Let's have a look here. Let's take off the shock. Oh, looks like I'm going to need to, yeah, hold on to the back. Do I have no clearance? There we go. Okay, nice. Let's get a nice close look to see what happened here. Remember, if you guys are new to RC, don't be afraid to get in there. Sometimes you need to use your phone or like a camera of some sort to take pictures if you need help putting it back together. But that's all part of the hobby. I remember starting in the hobby, and maybe many of you can relate to this. It was such an intimidating experience, right? Like to actually, for some of us, breaking into an RC vehicle can be deemed as so much work and kind of scary because you want it to always work, but you know there's something wrong. You know, you hear a clicking coming from the diff and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, it's so far in there, I've got to take it all apart. But I have to tell you, it's a rewarding experience. If you bust into your vehicle, you know, it's just like a full-scale vehicle or anything else. Like when you start to take it apart, you fix it, you put it back together. I know this sounds kind of silly, but you start building a relationship with your RC. And yeah, it's, you know the inner workings, and you can diagnose and fix it. There's no better feeling. Okay. So here is the replacement that I decided to go with. Shiny and nice. This is an adjustable coil shock as well. It is aluminum anodized. I got them off of eBay. I do get quite a bit of things off of eBay when I need them. You know, it's just easier to sometimes search and get it there. But I do encourage supporting your local hobby shops. You guys that watch the show already know that. But there you go. So let's get all 4 of these off. This will eliminate the broken rod end issue, and yeah, I could have just put an aluminum one on here, but I like a little extra bling. Why not? So I'm going to take off all 4 of these. Just put the new one in place. Now, this is what I was wondering about. Are they going to bump? Because they are a little thicker. Nope, they're actually got great clearance on that front part. That's what I was concerned about, was it rubbing right there. Well, let's switch over and get it back in place. It's another way to do my RC projects when I was finding that I was having a hard time remembering the order that they went in, is just to simply do them as you go. You know, if you take a part on and that's the part that you need to replace, if it allows, go ahead and, you know, just do one part at a time. There we go. Next. Being very careful not to over torque these screws right now, and the reason being is because they are going into plastic arms. Now a lot of people tend to switch over and do aluminum arms, and that's cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with aluminum arms, and there's varied opinions. In fact, a lot of us think that if you're using aluminum arms, what's going to happen is all the force that's created, all of the energy that's traveling when you hit something, instead of bending in a rubber or plastic area, it's going to cause some sort of permanent bend in the aluminum. But then again, it just depends on what you're willing to risk, right? If you like the aluminum arms, there's nothing wrong with that. Heck, have aluminum arms. I know I have over the years. It just always broke my kingpins area instead, you know. So, oh well, you give some, you get some, you take some away. Okay, so I flipped it around and I'm just taking off the front shocks. Here are the shocks that I got. This is the way they came packaged. Just a no-name off-brand, I'm sure, but they are already pre-filled with fluid, and they've got a great bounce rate with this red spring. It did come with 2 other types of springs, but they're a little bit too firm, so I'm going to be using these ones. And one of the things I've realized over the years for folks that are intimidated by working on RCs, let me put your mind at ease a little bit. Even though this may seem like common knowledge, you know, sometimes it's overlooked. That is the wrong screw. There we go. Each car or truck or boat or whatever you're using is basically done in sections, right? If you kind of think that each one of these shocks is 25% of the car for a total of one whole car, that this 25% portion is going to be identical on this side. The symmetry of the car, for example, this is the front steering part of the car. If you've learned how to fix this side, you already know how to fix this side. So as long as you can educate yourself about the RC and just fixing and understanding 125, like 25% of your whole car, then you've basically got the idea. Yes, it can be different in the rear of the car, but it's usually less to learn because there's no steering assembly and everything there, right? So don't be afraid to jump in and to learn. That's the biggest thing about the hobby, I think. And to be patient with yourself. This stuff does take time. I know a lot of us are like of the now generation. We want everything now. But just like practice. Practice driving the vehicle takes time. And of course, practice fixing the vehicle takes time. Do, 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 do. There we are. And I'll just make sure they've got the right amount of preload. There's a little RC hack for you. Remember, when you're trying to adjust the preload ring on your shocks, just pull your spring down. If you don't pull it down, it's a lot harder and there's a lot of resistance against these rings, right? So just little things that we found over the years that actually help the performance and keep the frustration levels low. Look at that. Nice difference. I'm loving that. Turn it around. Same, make sure everything's done the same here. Ta-da! I remember in the old days thinking, hey, maybe I should just put some, lube on these threads. And I got to tell you, it's a horrible idea because all it does is attract dust and dirt. And when you get dust and dirt in these threads, well, good luck. You got to take out a toothbrush and scrub them out and, get it back so you can use the adjustment rings. But there you go, my friends. There is my shock repair on my little Savage XS. FLUX, and the body returns of the Ford Raptor. There we go. That's a nice little bit of bling. Yeah, not bad at all. She's gonna fly through the air again. Nice. I love the return rate on the way these shocks are set up. Okay, let's drop it and see how the suspension reacts. Very nice. Not even bottoming out. Okay, so there you go. These shocks at the time of this filming probably cost me about $45. So relatively an inexpensive fix for a very cool car. And now it's got a great ride height. It's got lots of suspension flex to it. And it's going to handle even better in the corners. Well, that's my hope at least. I'll make sure that I adjust the suspension and that it actually does help. So there you are. Thank you for tuning in for another RC Adventures. I know it's been a lot of maintenance videos lately, but I do these because not only do I need to fix my trucks, but I know that there are folks out there that get a few helpful hints and tips, and it doesn't make RC as scary. So go out there, have some fun. Thanks for supporting and subscribing to the show, and I'll see you in the next episode of RC Adventures. Bye!